one of the most unstoppable volleyball players of our time. A powerhouse from Belarus who could strengthen any team in the world. Who am I talking about? I think you might already have a guess. He's the opposite for the Belarus national team and currently with Zenit Saint Petersburg, Vladislav Babkevich. It's high time we dive into this exceptional athlete here on Play Like a Pro. As usual, we'll be covering some of the most interesting highlights of his career and analyzing the technical skills of this Belarusian giant. If you've already liked the video, then let's get right into it. Babkevich was born on May 10, 2001 in Grodno, Belarus. Early on, he was drawn to sports that involved a ball. He actually spent 5 years playing tennis and showed serious potential. Who knows, maybe we'd be watching him dominate tennis courts today if it weren't for a friend who invited him to try volleyball when he was just 11. After that, volleyball became more than just a sport. It turned into his life's purpose. Now he's fully dedicated to the game and hardly follows any other sports. A fun fact, Vlad's friend, the one who introduced him to volleyball, actually ended up leaving the sport. Funny enough, I had a similar experience myself. A friend brought me into volleyball and then he quit. Though I was already 19 and well, I didn't exactly grow to 210 centimeters. But anyway. Given that Babkevich was already 2 meters tall by age 13, it's no surprise that he caught the eye of volleyball clubs around the world. He even got an invitation to try out for Italy's Ravenna club. At 15, he impressed them so much that they immediately arranged for his schooling and tutoring. It all seemed set for Vladislav to start his career in the Italian Super League. But unfortunately, Ravenna lost its sponsorship and the transfer didn't happen. So, Babkevich began his professional career with Shakhtar Soligorsk in 2019. In his 2 seasons there, he helped the team win every national trophy, and he was named playoff MVP twice. It was clear he needed to keep pushing forward, and the offers came rolling in from top leagues around the world. Vlad chose Fekel though. And here's a side note. Given his height, Babkevich initially tried playing as a middle blocker. That didn't suit him. He did a bit better as an outside hitter, but ultimately thrived when he moved to the opposite position. So, why Fekel? The club has a reputation for developing young talent. Just look at some of the stars that came up through their ranks. Kliuka, Volkov, Vlasov, Yakovlev and Bogdan all went on to play for the Russian national team. Quite the list, right? Babkevich's Super League debut was phenomenal. Although Fekel didn't win any team titles, he became the league's top scorer. As he himself says, this achievement was nice but not unexpected. Even at Shakhtar, he would stay late after practice, constantly working on his skills. After every match, Vlad would review game footage to see where he could improve his attacks and blocks. Not only did he study the tapes himself, but he also asked his coaches and his dad, who hasn't missed a single one of his matches, for feedback. The only time Babkevich won't watch his game footage? When his attack efficiency hits 80% or higher. And even for an athlete as talented as Vlad, those performances don't come easily. On the court, he sometimes looks like a relentless, emotionless volleyball machine. He's fully focused on the game, and it's rare to see any big reactions from him. He's often so immersed in the match that he hardly hears the crowd. Some players don't need flashy emotions to be effective, and Vlad is one of them. He still has his sights set on playing in Italy. So, after his contract with Zenit, who knows, we might just see Babkevich make his move to the Italian Super League. It's possible that Vladislav's career might have ended before it truly began. That's what doctors want him after he suffered a serious shoulder injury. He couldn't move his arm for 2 months and lost 25 kilograms, staying as still as possible. For someone who lives and breathes volleyball, it was a huge blow. Luckily, his family and girlfriend helped him get through it mentally. And thank goodness the doctors found a solution. Now we can enjoy watching Belarus's powerful opposite play, and Vladislav can fully enjoy the game. Is there really any practical value in studying the techniques of a 210 cm volleyball player who can simply jump over the block? Maybe not, but I can't resist analyzing Babkevich's unique skill set. Remember, this is purely for fun, and I'm not claiming to be a volleyball expert. I'll just share some thoughts on Vladislav Babkevich's technique, starting, as usual, with his attack. Let's go! The approach step is key to setting up an effective attack, and this is especially true for Vlad. With a well-executed approach, many issues in the hitting process are avoided. Since he doesn't receive serves, his approach setup isn't complicated. Thanks to his long stride, he doesn't need much time to get ready. His approach is efficient but not overly long. Typically, he uses no more than 3 steps. He either waits in a starting position or makes a quick movement toward the attack spot just as the setter contacts the ball. With Vlad's height, those 3 steps cover a lot of ground. Still doubting the importance of height in volleyball? Now let's get into some of Babkevich's technical details, starting from the ground up. I've covered his approach, so let's look at his foot positioning during attacks from different zones. In Zone 2, he places his feet almost parallel to each other and perpendicular to the net with a wide stance. In Zone 1, he uses a similar foot placement but turns his planting foot inward. In Zone 4, his feet are closer together and parallel to both each other and the net. Moving higher, let's look at his arm mechanics. Usually this would mean his arm swing, but with Babkevich it's more like a wingspan. He has a large backswing, with both arms lifting up powerfully and staying up until the hit, maximizing his jump potential. However, this sometimes limits his elbow movement backward, which can reduce the engagement of his chest muscles and slightly decrease his hit power. But on a single block, he can use a more standard hitting technique with a fuller body twist in the air. The spiking motion is often compared to a whip, and that describes Babkevich's hitting style perfectly. He uses a stiff yet flexible movement that whips through with his wrist. While most players generate power through body rotation and chest engagement, the Belarusian visibly relies on his back strength. His free arm stays tucked to his side. As for his hitting patterns, Vlad primarily uses his height and physical advantages rather than trying to outsmart blockers and defenders. It reminds me of Viktor Poletaev's early career when he dominated youth leagues with his power alone, but when he moved up to the Super League, he had to adjust his playstyle to be more versatile. Poletaev became one of the best opposites in the world by developing variety in his attacks and maintaining his incredible jump. In some ways, Babkevich's style now is similar to Poletaev's early days, though Vlad's height advantage lets him soar over even the Super League's toughest blockers. But in these attacks, there's often not much thought behind the shots. He's just looking to contact the ball at the highest possible point. This often means he doesn't fully engage his body to maintain height, even if it sacrifices power. He sometimes aims for the line but often ends up hitting closer to the court center than the sideline. With Babkevich frequently studying his game recordings and consulting with his coaching staff, his potential is still sky-high. If he can add variety to his attacks, combining high-reaching hits with calculated placements and tips, Babkevich could become an unstoppable weapon for any team. Don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying his current skills. I see the potential for him to be a dominant star, someone who could genuinely be considered the best in the world. But for now, he relies heavily on his athleticism and high attacking load. When a team is built around such a player, true success can be hard to achieve. Once Babkevich develops his attacking skills to the fullest and has a team structured around him rather than one he's forced to carry, he could truly dominate. Just look at examples like Leon's first season in Perugia or with Poland. Everyone hoped his arrival would turn things around, but the team still needed to be built around him strategically for lasting success. Not sure how much of this actually ties back to analyzing Babkevich's attack technique, but I felt it was worth sharing my subjective take on it. In short, Vlad's attack style right now is a bit like a wild power serve. Wherever he's positioned and however the ball's set, that's the direction it'll go. If he can develop a more intentional and varied offensive game though, volleyball might just be over, there'd be no stopping him. Now, when it comes to blocking, this is where we can see a few weaker points in the Belarusian opposites game. Analyzing his approach here doesn't make much sense since he mostly blocks from a standing position or a single small step. His size alone lets him support his middles without needing to jump, which is honestly pretty intimidating. But while his potential as a blocker is frightening, his blocking game isn't yet one of Babkevich's strong suits. He often picks the wrong position, doesn't move his hands over effectively, and his ability to read the hitter isn't at an elite level. Of course, it's not fair to compare him with highly skilled individual blockers like Volkov or, say, Micheleto, but we could look to Sapochkov for a point of comparison. Max, for instance, also doesn't try to outguess opponents, he just closes off a zone. The crucial difference is that he plays to the ball. Meanwhile, Babkevich seems to base his blocking decisions more on his own position relative to the net than on the attacker's placement or the quality of the set. Moving on to defense, diagonal hitters generally follow similar positioning patterns. When defending in Zone 1 against attacks from the opponent's Zones 2 and 1, the opposite typically shifts closer to the middle of the court. With Babkevich's size, he can cover a large portion of the court this way. At the professional level, this makes sense, but it's not necessarily effective for recreational play. Not every hitter, even at a high amateur level, can drive the ball deep into the court past a group block. It's often more logical to position closer to the sideline, where most attacks tend to go. When Babkevich is defending in the front row, all he really needs is a single step to be in a good position to keep the ball in play. Ideally, yes, you'd want to deliver the ball perfectly to the setter, but in the end, keeping the ball alive any way you can, hand, foot or even head, is what matters most. His defense against line attacks is also somewhat unique. With Zenit's blocking setup, not many direct attacks actually reach Zone 1, which lets Babkevich shift closer into control tips. Given his height and wingspan, this makes a lot of sense, as tipping over him would be nearly impossible. As you may have guessed, we'll wrap up our analysis of Babkevich with a look at his serve. And of course, we'll start with the serving ritual that every professional volleyball player has, leading up to that first contact. While not every time, once Vlad has the ball, he'll sometimes press it to his body. Then, after facing the court, he wipes his hands on the soles of his shoes. Next, he taps the ball a few times, though the number of taps varies. Then he leans slightly forward and begins to bounce the ball with his right hand. Just before serving, he raises the ball to face level with his hitting arm, then puts it into play. When it comes to targeting specific zones, it seems Babkevich doesn't necessarily stick to one. Instead, he tries to find the receiver, who, either by his own assessment or a suggestion from the coaching staff, is likely to struggle most with his serve. During the game, he may change targets if he notices that a particular player is handling his serve confidently. It's actually a smart strategy. Unfortunately, as he's admitted in interviews, Babkevich isn't yet consistently maxing out his serving power. Part of this may be due to the demands of the Russian league, with frequent travel cutting into training time. This is where we can once again draw a comparison to Maxim Sapochkov, who has honed his serving skills considerably in Italy. I love diving into the finer details of players' games in this series, so this analysis was right up my alley. Watching Vlad, who at only 23 is already such a formidable attacking force in modern volleyball, I can't help but wonder what he'll be capable of as he continues to improve his skills. He certainly has plenty of room to grow, so above all, I wish him good health to fulfill his incredible potential. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you'll support it not only with your likes as always, but also with comments about what you like or don't like about this opposite hitter. Since Vlad has expressed interest in playing in Italy, let's have some fun with it. Which Italian club do you think would suit Babkevich best? Let me know in the comments who you'd like to see as the next featured player in this series. I'll take your suggestions into account as always. And as usual, this is Nick. Love what you do and you'll definitely succeed. See you soon. Take care.